will make money.
What's up, everybody? Episode 50. You believe that? 50. NFL Week 5 coming at you. 50 episodes, 140 something videos, 100 plus thousand views. We're getting there. We're just slowly getting. No, we're not getting there.
No, we're not
getting anywhere.
We're not even sure if anybody listens anymore.
No, at least my mom, my dad.
Yes, definitely.
We hear you guys.
My family doesn't even listen. It's
No,
terrible.
what do they want to listen to? Sports betting stuff,
Absolutely not.
No.
Terrible.
No, but we'll start out without sports betting stuff. Get into, let's face it.
Sad day a couple days ago.
Yep. Pete Rose passed away. We posted on Instagram about this. He was an old guy, 83 years old, but fellow better like we are. Unfortunately, he did it a little bit while he was involved in the game. Maybe he should have done it, but in terms of like how people have thought about it over the years, as everybody in the whole nation became sports bettors and stuff, you're starting to look back at it and going, is it really that bad? Never bet on him against himself.
Right. But did bet for himself when he was managing a team. So.
Right. And I think one of the important points that somebody made on a documentary that we saw, if you didn't see it yet, Charlie Hustle, it's a great documentary about Pete Rose's life. But when he was betting, he would bet for his team, but he would only bet let's say a third of the games. So if you're telling the bookie that you're not betting on yourself this week, he's probably saying to himself, maybe I should bet the other team. So you're kind of giving a little bit of a tell away by not betting also. So that's, one thing that wasn't great. But he lived in our building in Vegas that we lived in.
Right below us, actually.
Yeah, right below us.
Legitimately below us. Very quiet guy.
Yeah.
Kept to himself. But his car was sick.
Car was awesome. Yeah, Rolls Royce. And because he, led the majors in hits, and he was the hit king, and that's what his license plate said, hit king. So it's pretty awesome. So sad to see him go, especially before getting to Cooperstown, because the guy's got to get there. You got to get him in the Hall of Fame. Even Trump tweeted it. Get that guy in the Hall of Fame before the funeral. That probably won't happen, but
Yeah, he kind of wanted to be around for it.
yeah, he wrote letters the last couple of years because he knew his health was deteriorating, saying, "Look, get me in here, guys. I saw the error of my ways. I apologize, but it would be meaningful to him to get in there." But
He did make it, though, to one last bunch of signings in Nashville.
yeah,
And the next day, passed away in Vegas in his apartment, though, which I think is nice. He liked that, that he was always there. That was his home. So at least he got to do it where,
yeah,
felt most comfortable and not in Nashville or on a plane or something ridiculous like that. So
yeah. One of the people who worked at the front desk. He didn't come down for a car service that he had reserved, and they were like, "Uh-oh, something wrong here." So they called his family, did a welfare check, and then they found him. So, R.I.P. Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, the hit king.
then we have this clown, Von Miller.
Clown for so long. He was the
Well,
savior.
Well, no, not for so long. First of all, he did a little bit, then he got hurt.
That's true. Yeah,
Did nothing when he came back. Then he looked great this season, but I thought, he got in trouble. I believe it was over the summer, something like that, or right after the season ended. Definitely not during the season itself. But he had a pregnant girlfriend that he was accused of being violent towards.
Allegedly.
But now he's actually being suspended for 4 games, which leads us to believe that it was no longer alleged, because she came out at one point and said, from what I read, guys, I don't know why we're taking this. He didn't put his hands on me. Nothing happened. This was taken out. We just had an argument. I called the cops. But it seems like there's evidence that there was hands put on, and that I don't like.
Yeah, I know. It's
And
bad.
I mean, a pregnant girlfriend too. It's just insane. And so now, it got me thinking, he's a dick for being suspended for 4 games now. That really hurts the team that needs all their players. We have enough injuries as it is. We don't need people suspended. But we have a lot of players on the league that are just committing crimes and then playing football and eventually getting suspended a little bit. I feel like the NFL needs to change their plan, and every player needs to sign a contract in which if they commit a crime and they're found guilty enough where they have to suspend this player for multiple games, the fan base gets to vote if they'd like that player off their team. They no longer get paid. Another team can bring them on if they wish, if they want to do that. Because I'm looking at.
But you could cut anybody anytime you want in the NFL.
Well, and then in that case, I think he should be cut. There's going to be a very few people in Buffalo that want someone who committed domestic violence towards their pregnant girlfriend and be okay, no matter how good they are.
It's true, yeah.
And they're not learning lessons. Yeah. This stuff's still happening. We got Rashee Rice. Now, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, their fans would vote to keep him on because what did he do? He crashed his car. He didn't hurt anybody. He could have, so you have to take that in consideration. But technically, he hurt no one. So then maybe that would be a situation you keep him and you suspend him. But I feel like most of the Buffalo fans would be like, he's a piece of shit. He put his hands on a pregnant girl. It sounds like he strangled her, bruised her ribs, had his hands around her wrists. Too much. I think people would be like, I want him off the team because that's not what we stand for. I'd rather lose some games than have someone like that. So that just occurred to me, like maybe we make that a thing. But if they could kick him off at any time and not pay him.
But the paying thing, yeah, you're on a hook for guaranteed money. So maybe you're guaranteed.
If you knew that you weren't going to get paid because your fan base says you're a piece of shit, what you did is wrong, and I'm kicked off my team, I don't get my paycheck, don't you think someone like him would have thought 10 times before he decided to go through and put his hands? I mean, obviously he shouldn't have done it to begin with, but now if you're going to lose everything, because maybe that's the step we need to take now with these people committing crimes, crashing cars, carrying weapons. If there's a shot that they can be voted off the island and get no pay until another team decides that they want to pick them up, maybe that's what the little kick in the ass that some of these guys need. But I don't want him on my team if this is all true, which it sounds like it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, like, in Deshaun Watson's contract, they baked in, they said, look, if there are any new accusers that come in and whatever that we don't know anything about, then your contract your guaranteed money is null and void. Right. So I guess they could put it in these guys' contract, but it's a good point that maybe the NFL can look into making this a requirement as part of the contract.
For every player.
The players' union might say, well, and in this instance, so like Rashee Rice is still playing after his Grand Theft Auto incident, basically, where he's like sitting there freaking spinning the car around, running away with guns and stuff like that. He's playing because I think the NFL is waiting for what's the verdict, and then once I know it, then I'm going to determine the suspension. But in this case, Von Miller, all charges are dropped. So they're like, well, we know the verdict. There's no verdict because the charges are dropped. But we saw the video, or sorry, not saw the video, but we saw the pictures of the bruised neck and the bruised things, and we don't like it. Which is nice. It's good for the NFL to do that, though, right? I mean, they'll tell you, even if they don't get in trouble, because these guys are always paying off people, right? They're like,
definitely.
Fucking settle off, whatever.
If there's pictures, it means he told her, you're going to ruin both our lives and my soon-to-be baby's life because I'm not going to have the money to pay for all this. And she was probably like, okay, which is not... Either way, I don't know. It's just something to take into consideration because this is getting out of control, and like, you shouldn't be a literal piece of shit and be able to make millions of dollars playing football and represent cities that we don't want you representing us.
Yeah, I agree.
That is my spiel. Enough about that.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Sorry, it just bothers me.
Yep.
I don't want pieces of garbage on my team. I don't want to be the Kansas City Chiefs full of criminals, felons, and people paying the refs. Davante Adams, I'm sure you've all heard if you pay attention at all to football, is asking for a trade from the Raiders, and the Raiders are willing to give it to him now. I mean, Antonio Pierce liked his little tweet, Adams' tweet saying, like, I want to trade. You liked it, which is a bad move on a coach's part. You just keep your opinions to yourself, but now it's all out in the open. He's looking at numerous teams. The Bills is one of them, but we said, where are we going to get the money? Now, there are people that believe Brandon Beane, he makes things happen with trade, giving trades up and whatnot. And who knows? Maybe the Raiders are going to be like, he wants to go to the Jets because he wants to be with Aaron Rodgers? Nope. We'll send you somewhere else, even if they're not going to get it just to piss him off. Who knows? And then obviously the Jets is a huge pick, and you guys have the money for him that we don't have. It would just really, really suck, man, to see him go over there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, because of the whole Hassan Reddick situation, we have some money, some cap space that we're freeing up for him where he's not going to get signed. And then draft capital, we probably have it. We can make that work. So It seems favorable, like they're in a pole position to get him, but you never know. The NFL, all of a sudden, somebody comes in last minute, starts throwing picks on the table, and you can't say no to it, and he ends up going somewhere else. So,
well, he has said he himself is interested in you guys, the Saints, because he also would like to play for Derek Carr again, and the Bills. I have not read anything about the Ravens or the Chiefs, which people were saying. I mean, that would be. I can't imagine Raiders trading him to the Chiefs for any reason because that would be dumb on their part. I think the Ravens don't need anybody after their performance last Sunday night against Buffalo. So hopefully, that stays that way. But I don't know, might change somebody's team soon.
Absolutely. Yep, and the person whose team it might change, the last guy we have on the list here, Robert Saleh. It's Aaron Rodgers and him. This whole thing. It's the whole week of news, and everybody's saying there was this issue after the game where they were talking about the cadence, and the cadence was an issue. There was 5 false starts for the Jets, 13 overall penalties, and Saleh came out saying maybe we don't have to, do the hard counts and do the cadence stuff, and maybe we should back away from it. And Aaron Rodgers came out and they said, look, Robert Saleh said this. What do you think? And he goes, well, let's not jump to conclusions about how we need to change things wholesale. We can hold people accountable. I think it's an important part of our offense. It's a weapon for us, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone's kind of reading into it and saying, who's really in control of this team? Look, I kind of get it. Robert Saleh, if you just ended his career right now, no one will ever talk about Robert Saleh. If you ended Aaron Rodgers' career, he's a Hall of Famer. And these two guys are almost the same age, right? So they're kind of almost peers in a way. And I think the way their relationship really is look, you got the defense, I got the offense, let's do this thing. Unfortunately, the players on the team see this stuff. I don't think it's good for the locker room.
No, I think it's awful.
Yeah, it's not good. So, I think that Rodgers probably needs to do a little bit better job of trying to,
bring it back, reel it in
a little bit, and make it seem like, hey, this is the coach that we all respect and we should be looking towards, and not just, I'm the man about everything. So we'll see how that goes. In the Robert Saleh press conference, they asked him how his relationship with Aaron was, and he's like, fantastic, it's great, blah, blah, blah. I think he probably feels that way, but from an outsider looking in, it looks like there's a little bit of trouble. Now, if they're 4-0 right now, who gives a flying fuck? But they're not. If that field goal goes in, nobody's even talking about it.
Right.
Yes. To be honest,
I don't know. It was a really slow, sad game to watch.
Sad game. They would be asking Robert about the penalties, but I don't know if he would be talking about changing things. He'd be like, we'll clean things up. We got the W, right? Everything's always better with a win. So we'll see. Got a tough one coming up in London, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hate those games.
All right. Next up, how did we do betting?
Terrible.
I
did terrible. I can't stand what is going on with these teams this season so far.
Yeah, we hit 5 out of 11 games, 45%. And with only 17.5 units wagered, -4 units. So I know for me, there was a big one that stuck out, and it was the Bills versus Ravens game.
Oh, my God. Please don't go into this too much.
Not going to talk about it too much. Both of our locks hit last week.
That is true.
Right? So you got to like that when you go 2-0 on the locks. Luckily for me, I had a decent amount on that one. And outside of that, there's some pluses and minuses or whatever, but it really was the drivers were really the Bills game and the Jags-Texans game for me.
Yeah. Vikings, of course, covered. And the Titans covered against the Dolphins, which I even said, please turn this off. We'll switch to the Seahawks-Lions game because it was like JV playing JV team.
Yeah, not good.
At least I got my money.
Yeah, there's a couple close ones. I mean, one for me, one of them that I lost was the Browns-Raiders game. And it says 37 here on the screen. I got it actually at 36.5. What was the total? 36. So beautiful. And it came down to it. They went for a touchdown, late in the game, so they didn't get it. But that's betting. That's why they call it betting.
Vegas knows.
Vegas knows some stuff. Next up, oh boy, a lot of injuries. This is not even close to all of them. I mean, I realize that we don't even have Rashee Rice on this one, who was...
Oh, he's actually out.
His knee got blown up, and he's out probably for the season, but...
Wait. How did his knee get blown out?
Mahomes.
Mahomes just tackled him and ran right into his knee. But we're not really going to talk about that much because it's Mahomes, and we don't talk poorly about anything he does.
Did you actually hear him talking about his body? They asked him about,
his dad bod?
His dad bod, and he said it's on purpose because, to absorb hits and stuff, you need to have. So he goes, you don't see any like the elite quarterback or something with 6-pack abs. You need to have some chub on you. All right, buddy.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Pretty sure a lot of the quarterbacks have zero chub. I mean, look at Lamar just lost a bunch of weight and he's flying through people.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is not fat. I don't think, 6-pack skinniness is not what anybody wants, but although it worked for Ben Roethlisberger.
Sure, but I feel like Mahomes also looks like he doesn't do a push-up. So
Right.
it's one thing to be like, all right, I have a little extra on a muscular body, but I'm not so sure about that one, Mahomes. But look, you win all the Super Bowls, and I can't say shit. You're 4-0. So
That's because they buy the refs. Just saying.
yeah, look, I don't want to go through everybody here, but I would say that some of the teams that stuck out to me as having issues here are, the Cowboys for one. You got DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, and then now Brandon Cooks all out. So 2 on the defense, 1 on the offense side of the ball. That's not a good thing. Bill's hit with some injuries, but you found out that
So Deion Dawkins, he was questionable, but he went right into practice today. Today's Thursday. So he should be fine. He should be back in. But we are without, I would most likely say Rapp will not be playing. He got a concussion during Sunday night's game. So he most likely, if they can't figure that out now, is going to be out. And Shakir has an ankle. Now, that could be truly questionable because I'm not sure how bad it is. He didn't do the walkthrough yesterday, but we'll see. So I would definitely want to pay attention to Shakir a little bit closer. Rapp, it is what it is. But we should be getting Bernard back and Johnson back this week. I haven't heard officially, but they're actually back to practicing. So very hopeful that they return.
yeah, there's a few guys now that the PUP list. You went through the first 4 weeks. Now those guys who were initially put on that list are eligible to practice. So you'll see guys like Odell Beckham Jr. for the Dolphins. He's now back practicing. Whether or not they activate him this week, not sure. You have 3 weeks to then activate these players before you have to make another decision on them. So we'll see. But similar to Rapp with the concussion, Malik Neighbors on the Giants is similar boat where he's got the concussion, and then you also have Singletary on the Giants with what is he out with? A groin issue, questionable.
I mean, you lose those two, forget the Giants. They have nobody. There's absolutely no one there.
Well, I mean, I think it's crazy that even for the Raiders, right? They're going to be a second week in a row now without Max Crosby probably and without Davante because his hamstring. And don't get me wrong, that hamstring is going to be looking plenty fine whenever he signs with whoever's team it is. So give me that bullshit, right?
I don't think anybody's worried about that.
Yeah. If your hamstring's feeling a little funny and you're requesting a trade, you ain't coming back till that thing is perfect. So a lot of players over here, check them out. Make sure any of these games that you're betting are going to be impacted, especially like Anthony Richardson. Is he playing or not for the Colts? Probably going to be playing.
I don't know. Flacco did fine.
I know. I always think that I'd rather have Flacco. I don't know, Colts fans, you tell me what you think about this. I think that Flacco would be better off on that team.
Yeah, but we'll get to that because I have my money on the Colts, and that's for that reason. Richardson comes back, fine. Flacco stays in, fine.
Yeah, I get that.
But might as well go into it. This is going to come out after Thursday Night Football, which is Bucks at Falcons.
We're staying away. So.
Yeah, we're not really betting on it. So whatever you take, hopefully you win money.
Then the first game on Sunday, you'll be up early. Breakfast burrito, we talking? What are we doing? We doing Bloody Marys? Spicy? We going to go with the Aperol Spritz? Do you want to do a mimosa? You want to do a man-mosa? You want to put an extra shot of orange vodka in it? You could do it. You're going to have to be up early because this one's the London game.
Or you just lay in bed and have all that while you're still in bed. Because you just got to get up to make your little Bloody Mary, take out your Uber Eats breakfast burrito order, and go right and crawl yourself back into bed.
Yep. So we got the Jets versus the Vikings, and the Vikings are 4-0, and they're playing in London, and they're looking good. Jets, obviously coming off a disappointing loss, 10-9 in the rain. This one might be another rain game, guys. It's London. It rains a lot, so it's possible it's going to be rainy there again. So, hopefully the Jets can clean some shit up and not have 13 penalties. And need to get things going on the pass game, too. Mike Williams finally showed up. He looked pretty good. So I'm excited about that. But on the run game side, it feels like Brees is not really doing his thing. Braylon Allen almost seems like a little bit more explosive, more yards per carry.
Lazard looks better.
Lazard looks good. I feel like if they do trade for Davante, by the way, he's going to be the one that goes. So he's going to ship off to the Raiders because we have to ship them some receiver in return. Like here's a pick and here's a receiver and you're good. We'll see about that one. But yeah, I mean, look, the Vikings are tough to cover. You got, Justin Jefferson, you got Addison. Sam Darnold's been doing his thing. I mean, do you call it a revenge game? It's not exactly the same squad, but
he's already played. He's already played you guys, hasn't he?
Well, now he's like a starter.
Yeah, that don't count anymore. You have to move on at some point. But yeah. I personally, no offense to the Jets, but this is going to be a tough one for you guys to win. Weather is going to impact both teams, but the Vikings have just looked shockingly good. Yeah. And, and you guys have had a lot of issues. If it was Bills versus Vikings, I'd also be terrified, especially after what I witnessed, against the Ravens. But
yep,
it's a scary one. But then people go to fucking London, and you never know what happens. So
yeah, look, Minnesota's offense has been great, but their defense is still kind of towards the lower end of the pack in terms of yards per game given up. So I think that the Jets can probably still move the ball. The question is going to be like how the Jets defense does against them. And so I think that they'll probably, we're both leaning towards the under here. I think the answer is that look, if the book's telling you that the Vikings are probably going to win by a bit and it's going to be a lower scoring game, I even think it could be lower than that. I think the Vikings might only end up with 17 points, 20 points. The question is, can the Jets put up 20, 23 and get that win? And I'm hoping, and I'll be watching, but we'll see. London games.
All right, then we have the Ravens at the Bengals. Oh, these damn Ravens. I mean, I was not banking on absolutely winning against them, but I did not think it was going to be an ass kicking. We just came out. Derrick Henry took that long ass run into the end zone, and the whole team just shut down. Not good.
They clocked him faster than like Tyreek's speed.
Yeah, he's a giant.
How is that possible?
Are we testing this man at all? Is anybody testing this man? I feel like it's humanly impossible. The man doesn't eat all day. He waits till like 4 or 5 to have his first meal.
Avocados
and it's
and shit.
Fucking Tom Brady shit. But now we see Tom Brady's size. Makes sense. How are you that giant and that fast? I don't know. Something's up there. I'm just saying. Maybe we look into it. But this game, I know the Bengals need this, but I don't think they're going to get it. I would be happy maybe if they did. I don't even know. Maybe I want the Ravens to run all over them too. It was very embarrassing. And I just don't know what. We're not good with the run game. That's the Bills' problem. They have a good run game. Bengals their offense looks good. Their defense sucks.
And if you look at the rushing, so the rush defense, the Bengals are letting up 145 rushes a game. What is that going to look like with Derrick Henry and Lamar? That number's going to be 200. Yeah. So I mean,
they're a scary team, but they didn't look the first 2 weeks. They were losing to crappy teams like the Raiders, and I forgot who else they lost to. All of which we were like, what is happening here? But then of course they have to play us, and they get their big old win out. The Cowboys, they looked great at the beginning, but then they let the Cowboys catch up. So I just don't understand the Ravens right now. I would like to just be like, oh, no, the Bills just had a shitty day. They sucked. But the Ravens had some great plays that made that day happen. So you're not sure who's going to show up. I think it's going to be the Ravens dominating the Bengals because the Bengals still can't get their shit together. And I'm putting my money on them at -2.5. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way, and I know you like to ride the hot hand, right? So somebody comes looking great. I know you like to go back and bet them the next. I probably should be betting the Ravens here too. The only reason I'm doing it's like the old adage, the home divisional dogs, right? And that's what the Bengals are right now. They're home. They're getting 2.5 points, and they're in the same division. I'm just going to stay away only because weird shit happens with divisional games. But I like the Ravens bet, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm going to get trapped into just betting it anyway as we approach that. So we'll see.
All right. Then this was what we were talking about before. Colts at Jaguars. So because the Bills didn't play until the very evening on Sunday, I had to go through the whole day watching other teams play football. And this one, there's definitely going to be rain forecasted at Jacksonville. I watched so much of the Pittsburgh game, the Colts versus Pittsburgh, because I had money on Pittsburgh last week. And the Colts looked good against Pittsburgh. Flacco was crushing it once Anthony Richardson came out. But, Anthony Richardson has a good track record so far this season. He's been doing well. So I feel like either one that's in, they're going to beat the Jaguars. They get 3 points. And the Jags just, they still didn't get together. Like, they're just not meshing. Something's wrong there. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, football wasn't his everything according to him. Who knows what's going on? But they're 0-4. I'm definitely taking the Colts, especially since they get +3.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. T-Law with a $55 million contract, if a guy didn't have incentive to play before, you have no incentive to be playing well now. I saw that if you took his stats in terms of your completion percentage, yards per game, your win percentage as a quarterback, touchdowns, interceptions, all of it, and you stack it up against another quarterback, it's almost identical. Who is that other quarterback? Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
So you could have Gardner Minshew, or you could pay this guy $55 million because he's 6'6", and you think he's the prototypical quarterback, and he was the best, coming out of high school and college and whatever. He's not. I mean, for me, I'd be pretty disappointed if I was a Jags fan for his performance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
One thing I'll say here, the Colts do let up a bunch of yards. They're the worst in the league in terms of like the amount of yards let up. It hasn't necessarily translated to points though. So they let up a lot of yards, but it's one of those bend don't break type defenses. So Jacksonville might be able to move the ball. The question is like, will they actually be able to get points out of it? I agree with you that the Colts, I mean, I kind of would like it more if I knew that Flacco was playing for sure, but we'll see.
To me, I feel like they're both good. But what do I know? All right. Bills at Texans. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Back-to-back hard games.
Yeah. Well, this is
Road
what happens
games.
to the Bills. They just, I don't know. I'm leaning on Buffalo because, I never put money on them. We already know that. But I'm leaning on them because I'm hoping that they'll win. Yeah, going up against Diggs again, and everybody's saying this is a revenge game for Diggs and Buffalo. I don't know. It's now more of a revenge. It's a make a statement that we're not gone game because how things, and we're all guilty of this. If you have a bad loss, you're at the top of the world. You have one bad loss. The window is closing in Buffalo now. What's wrong with Josh Allen? What's wrong with the Buffalo Bills? Everything. There's no way they'll ever do anything good. So you got to get back to that, just get another W so that people can go back into that conversation again and forget about the loss. Texans are a difficult team, but they're not, truly difficult. And
they showed signs this year, but they're
iffy.
Bad loss, yeah, iffy.
When they win, they kind of squeak by. But the last time we were in Houston was for a Bills-Texans playoff game, and we held the lead all the way to the third quarter, fourth quarter, and then we no longer had the lead, and it was just like, what happened? But
that was when Deshaun Watson was actually a good quarterback. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. And Hopkins, I think, was on the team.
DeAndre Hopkins, of course.
So
you could be a pretty good quarterback when you throw it at DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll see. I honestly, if I were you guys, I would just lay off this game, but I would watch it. Could be fun. See how Diggs does. See how the Bills react to Diggs. Again, we don't know. You got to look into Shakir. See if he's back. Rapp, probably not going to be. But maybe double check of Bernard and Johnson and come back also. That those are all helpful. Von Miller will be out. So it's just a whole lot of garbage going on. I would watch the game. I wouldn't really bet it, but it's a nice spread. Very,
Yeah, right. Who's going to win the game? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, that Von Miller stuff. He's actually this year had been productive.
Yes.
He's had a sack each game, I believe, or at least has three or four. So that's going to be a little bit of a miss for them. So they got to get healthy, and they got to get their guys back.
Hopefully, our new rookie receivers will just try to show off for Diggs and be like, "See, this is what it's like." That I would like. Go Bills! Go Bills!
All right.
Oh, we're on to my lock of the week. I don't know. I feel like this is a good lock, but can get crushed sometimes. So we're still trying to figure out if I'm a mush or I'm just the football season has been rough and I just can't figure it out. But this one I feel like is a shoo-in. I just don't want to eat my words later. So, I mean, if you've been watching, the Commanders have been just crushing teams that you would not expect. I mean, first it was the Bengals, but then we learned that the Bengals are actually just terrible. They beat the Cardinals 42-14 last week. Cardinals are not garbage. They're pretty good.
No.
I mean, they played along with the Bills in week 1. We eventually won that one, but they definitely gave us a run for our money. And Watson is just terrible. He's been throwing all kinds of picks, fumbling, he looked awful against the Giants. And it was the first time that we saw Giants that could be good because of him. So I'm definitely -3, Commanders at home. I think this is an easy one, and that's why it's my lock.
Yeah, look, I'm betting it also. The only thing, the Browns have a good defense. That is a true statement. They have a good defense. But, what Washington's been able to do on the offensive side of the ball has been super impressive. Cliff Kingsbury calling the plays. This guy used to be a head coach and kind of thought of it as a savant until he had to deal with Kyler the Gamer Murray. But yeah, I think that the Commanders they're getting shit rolling on offense. I mean, Terry McLaurin's a beast. They got weapons, and yeah, I think that Deshaun Watson's frankly just been playing bad football. Yeah. That's the problem for me here is Deshaun Watson and that Commanders offense. So this might not be the highest scoring game in the world, but it could end up being 23-13 Commanders. Next up, Panthers at the Bears. Struggle a little bit with this one. You got a 1-3 team going up against the 2-2 Bears here. Bears have shown some life for sure. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams is doing some things. But the question is, do they win this one by more than a field goal? I don't know. I kind of almost leaning that maybe both these teams actually get something going and they hit over the 41.5 is where I would lean. But you thought you would lean towards the Bears, huh?
Yeah, it's a shot in the dark. I really don't, just they're two teams. I haven't been watching the Bears that much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the Panthers,
They came out with that Andy Dalton, and all of a sudden there's a disappointing game after.
Right.
So.
But here we are doing what I just said. I don't know. Is it over for the Panthers? Did they have their one? So that's why I'm just staying off. I'm assuming the Bears, they're at home too, and they're kind of enjoying, finally getting some momentum. But I would like to just stay away.
Yep. I agree with that one. Stay away. This game we are not staying away from because we know our division, the AFC East, and it's an AFC East matchup with the Miami Dolphins going to the New England Patriots, Foxborough, to take on a team led by Jacoby Brissett and coached by Gerard Mayo. And are either of these teams good? No. It's 1-3.
Is
each.
it one that you should be watching?
No.
You just want to look back at your, Caesars or MGM app and be like, okay, good, I got that one. Great.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my bet. I'm betting the Patriots here. All I know is you could look at Jacoby Brissett. He's got a bad line, and that's definitely one issue he has. If you want to look at him versus Snoop Huntley and who's going to look like the better quarterback at the end of that day, it's definitely going to be Jacoby Brissett. So I think that at home, New England takes this one. It's only a point. You really just it's a pick 'em basically, and I think they end up winning the game.
I like the low over. I feel like the Patriots are going to get most of the points here, but then there might be a couple plays where maybe Hill can try to actually finish them off, Waddle, whatever, just get some good movement going. But Patriots at home, I think that they could, between the two teams, get over 36.5. It's a pretty low over.
You know what you need? You're going to need a couple of those deep shots because, Snoop threw the ball deep to Tyreek. First of all, the first one he threw to him, way undershot it.
Yeah.
So then, Tyreek is throw the fucking thing out there, right? So the next one, he launches it, and it's 4 yards too deep, and it would have been a touchdown.
So maybe they're getting...
You got to get there, yeah, of course. So if he gets it right there, and you hit one of those, two of those are home run balls. That gets Miami to 14 real quick.
And there's no weather issues in Foxborough.
So. No, we looked at the whole slate of games. Maybe the London one's the most chance, but everything's just a chance of rain. So if you see rain showing up, at least at this point of recording, there's nothing that said it's going to be steady rain through a game at this point.
Right. Some are heavy chances, though. that I mentioned. One of the games we went through, I definitely mentioned that it's going to be rain likely, and those are if it was over 50%.
Okay, it's fair.
We're adjusting for it, but other than that, most of them not happening. All right, now we have the Cardinals at the Niners. I'm taking the Niners -7.5. They beat up the Pats last Sunday, and then the Cardinals got dominated by the Commanders. Niners are at home. I know that they still have some key injuries, but I don't know, 7.5. It's just like touchdown and a field goal to cover at home. I think that's doable for the Niners, so I'm taking it.
Yeah, they scored a bunch of points. They're averaging over 25 points a game. I think that continues, especially against the Cardinals, who just had a bunch of points get put up against them. So I agree with that. I just think that I don't think the Cardinals, up against decent defenses, they don't do that good of a job. So I feel like that 49.5 is a little bit high for a total for me. So I would probably lean on the under on that one, but I'm staying away from it. I'm going the over in this game. The Raiders at the Broncos. 36, very, 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 very low total. I think that the Raiders, when they're missing Max Crosby on that rush, I think that actually hurts them, and it'll give Bo Nix a little bit of time. I always thought they were disruptive up front, and Bo Nix, when he had some time, is doing some good things, especially with his legs. And I think that they could put some points up. I think this is going to be a close one. Look, the Raiders, with all the drama that's going on off the field with Davante and all those things, they really kind of need this divisional game. I think it'll be a closer one. So my guess is it's like a 23-20 type of game, and that it hits that low over of 36. Lock of the week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just leaning on the Broncos, but I might actually join you on that over. We'll see, because low overs are fun.
Overs are fun.
And betting the under sucks, so no one wants to do that. That's why I never do it. But I like overs. It's just sometimes they're like way too much. This one I might join you on, but I'm pretty sure the Broncos are going to take this game for a win.
Yep. Yeah, the funny thing about betting these things, when you bet the under, you start out covering, right? Oh, you're covered, and then all of a sudden, until you're not, right? And then the overs, you're climbing an uphill battle, but shit, you could be done with that bet in the third quarter, and then that's it. There's no way you could lose after that. So, you might have to always sweat the under until the game's over, just in case weird shit happens.
Life's too short to sweat the under.
Yep. All right, next game, Green Bay Packers going to L.A. to play the Rams, and this is it's kind of a tougher one. I
think it's one that people don't want to watch.
I don't want to watch it. No, NFC matchup.
Green Bay looked terrible against the Vikings for most of the game. They ended up coming back towards the end, which was interesting. Again, had to watch it from a distance. For some reason, this sports bar we went to had one TV. It was on the second level, all the way in the back. They had this game. I don't know what sports bars are thinking. If you're a sports bar, have every game on where everybody can see it, especially if you have 1,000 TVs. It doesn't make sense why you have 3 TVs in a row with one game and 3 TVs. It doesn't make sense. But anyway.
It got a baseball game, women's golf on.
Oh, yeah, it was ridiculous.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
But from a distance, I noticed that, the Vikings were crushing them. Then they came back towards the end. The Vikings still covered. But they definitely have their own struggles. The Rams, they're just... I don't know.
Cup's out again.
He's still out, but I feel like them being at home and they're getting points, home underdog, you might want to go with that concept. I don't know if it's going to work out here, but that's why I'm leaning on it and not taking it.
Yeah, both defenses let up yardage and points and stuff, so total's pretty high at the 48. I really didn't. I had a tough time with this one. I just think if you're going to bet the Rams here, I think you might want to just bet them straight up with the plus 150 and give yourself a little bit extra money.
But you get 3.5 points if you bet them on the spread.
Yeah, but if you just bet them to win, you get 1.5 times your money. Because the other way, you have to put $120 to win 100, right?
Right, but this way they can lose and you still get paid.
It's true. I'm just saying it might be a little more value on the money line.
So you think that they could actually pull out a winner. Okay.
Next up, we're both betting this one.
Yeah.
New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Giants fans, I apologize.
Yeah, if I was a Giants fan, I wouldn't even bother watching it. If Neighbors is considered out, is
Ruled out?
Ruled out, and Singletary though, because
Yeah.
one of them's questionable. I think both are
Both
questionable.
are questionable.
So if they're both out for sure, I
Not
wouldn't even
good.
bother watching. That's why when I saw it was Seahawks -6, and it was days ago, I'm like, I'm taking it because that, I assume by Sunday, Saturday, that spread's going to go through the roof. Eventually, you do have to be careful if it gets too high, but at -6, we're both definitely taking it. I mean, the Seahawks kept up with the Lions on Monday night, and
Yeah.
the Lions are good. So, Seahawks are still an impressive team, and you're going against the banged up Giants. And I feel like this is an easy one. Maybe this should have been the lock of the week. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this one a lot. Under a touchdown, whatever, if you can get it 6.5, whatever, under a touchdown, take it.
Yeah.
And those two skill guys don't play. Where's the offense going to come from? I don't know where the production is going to come from. And then on the other side of the ball, I know they're a little bit of a short week here with the Seahawks, but they're at home. Yeah. And I always thought about that 12 man's being an issue and stuff with the crowd noise and everything. I think that this could end up being by 17 points.
I know.
This might be a double lock.
I'm going to put more money on this one now that we're even talking about it more.
Yep.
It seems like such easy money. So there you go. That should be another lock of the week. Seahawks by both of us.
Yep. Then Sunday night football, Cowboys at the Steelers. I think this is a pretty good game, actually. At least a good game to watch.
Compatible
to be on TV.
teams.
Compatible, yeah. Look, I think this is one where, the Steelers, again, still have a really good defense where they're letting up a small amount of yards. The question is always going to be just like, how does that translate into points? And
their offense struggled last week against the Colts.
Yeah. So I think this is a decent matchup here where, you could potentially get, and also Micah Parsons is out. I think that's a problem. And another one of their linebackers is out. So I feel like, to me, I still want to lean on the under on this one, 43 points. Might not be as exciting of a game that everybody wants to watch on a Sunday Night Football, but I could foresee some punts and stuff and back and forth, and then, them being within a field goal at the end, but, more likely like 17-14 or, something like that.
Yeah, it makes sense with all the injuries. Some of this, a couple of Steelers guys got banged up last week too. They were just all coming off the field like one by one. It was rough to watch.
Yeah.
If you did watch that one on Sunday. So
Yep.
I agree, but I'm leaning on the Cowboys. But this was before I realized that 3 strong players on the Cowboys are out. So it's just going to be kind of one of those. I like your under bet. I think I would take that. Other than that, stay away from it.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks, who's the wide receiver, he's out. So, that's, again, 3 of those guys are out. That's just a tough one.
All right, then we have the last game because for some reason, I don't know how they decide this, but this Monday night is only one Monday Night Football and not 2.
Yep.
And we have the Saints at Kansas City. I fucking hate the Chiefs. I hate the fans of Chiefs, and I hate the refs that are also fans of Chiefs. So I think Chiefs are going to cover this one. They're at home. They always find a freaking way to win. And I should actually take that back. I don't even know if they'll cover because they tend to not cover. They win by 2. They figure out how to do that most of the time. But I wouldn't put my money on that spread. They always struggle to cover a spread.
Yeah, this is, if you look at some stats, they let up probably middle of the pack in terms of yards per game. But points per game, though, they're in the top, let's call it 6-7 teams. And that's what's been getting them wins. They're not winning by a ton, but they're doing the things to get the wins. And that's Chiefs football. And that's what gives them home field advantage in the playoffs and all the shit that reasons they get to the Super Bowl is I bring it back to our teams, but if you go to the Jets game, the 10-9, you lose to a bullshit-ass Broncos team. Those are the games that as a good team, you're supposed to get the win anyway, and then go, oh, that was close. We got to clean shit up. That's what the Chiefs do. They get those fucking bullshit wins when it kind of seemed like they were losing, but they actually got the win. In this one, I'm betting the over on this one, 43.5. I just think that the Saints are going to kick back in on offense. And be able to move the ball, and I think that the Chiefs are always going to be able to move. They're always going to be able to put up 20. So if the Chiefs put up more than 20, and the Saints put up 20, then we could have ourselves a good game, and it hits the over the 43.5.
That makes sense. Screw the Chiefs, though.
Screw the Chiefs.
All right. Well, here's what we're actually betting after all of these games.
Yep.
I'm taking the Ravens versus the Bengals. I think that the Bengals are still struggling, and the Ravens are very good, and they will win by over 2.5. And then I'm also taking the Colts +3 versus the Jaguars because just like the Bengals, the Jaguars are trash and not really finding their way. The Colts looked good against the Steelers, and even if it's Richardson or Flacco, I think both of them will be able to definitely beat the Jaguars. Nonetheless, lose by 3. So I'm taking that. And then we're both on my lock of the week. Commanders -3 versus the Browns. Commanders look good. Deshaun Watson does not. I think that's all you need to know.
Yep.
Oh, God. And then I have also the Patriots and Dolphins over 36.5. I think it's a low over. I think that even with the two crappy teams going after it, they'll find ways to score points in weird situations. So I'm taking the over on that one.
Yep, same game. I'm going with the Pats, minus the 1 point against the Dolphins, who have Snoop Huntley as quarterback, and they look a little rough against the Titans. And I just think that the Patriots at home, with basically a pick 'em, you got to go with them.
Mm-hmm. And then I have the Niners -7.5 versus Cardinals because the Niners are really good, and they should cover this spread. That's I don't know. No science behind it.
I'm going Raiders Broncos over the 36 points. Very low total. I think without that pass rush behind Max Crosby, that's going to hurt him a bit. Even though they don't have Davante Adams, I think that Brock Bowers is still able to get a bunch of yards from Minshew, and I think that that's a good reason why 36 points is going to be easy for this total. And then we're both on the Seahawks minus the 6 points against a Giants team that's going to be without Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary, and they already suck. And a Seahawks team that's kind of rolling, and when they lose, they just lost to a Lions team that looked like they were on fire, but they actually lost by not too much. Then I'm on the under in the Cowboys-Steelers game. I'm just thinking that the Steelers defense is going to be able to hold the Cowboys without Brandon Cooks, and I think that the lack of pass rush without Micah Parsons is going to help Steelers stay in the game a bit and keep that one close. So it'll be a typical run the ball, get your field goal like Mike Tomlin likes to do to try to get that win. And then lastly, for Monday Night Football, Saints-Chiefs, I'm going over the 43.5 points, thinking that the Saints offense is going to get their shit back together and get those points, and the Chiefs will always get more than 20. So, given that, I think that the 43.5 is definitely doable.
Ooh, this just in. The Bills inquired about Davante Adams and would be happy to join the team. And somebody said they saw him at Duff's today. Ooh, getting those chicken wings. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, you know that Buffalo's draw is their chicken wings. You send somebody to Duff's, they're in for life, people. Just putting that out there. A little tidbit of information. You heard it first right here.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just some Buffalo person who said that.
Of course.
Just so that the Jets have to give away more to get him.
Well, sure. If you're gonna get him, you're gonna have to give away.
Throw out another second-round pick.
I don't know. This was on Bill's Mafia page, which is really just Bill's Mafia people who look at it. So it's very possible that it was true, and maybe he just wanted to be wined and dined by the Buffalo before he ends up going to Jets. Who knows?
He's like, is it 50 degrees now in early October always? And they're like,
I think it's
beautiful.
probably warmer. The last few weeks has been warmer in Buffalo than it has been in Long Island. So, listen, it's climate, global warming.
I don't know.
Buffalo might become the new Miami. You never know.
You never know. All right, that's it for the week, people. Go out there, get your bets in, especially get them in early if you're not sure if somebody's questionable, but they're probably going to be out, Malik Neighbors, those types of things. And, do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment if you want, talk shit if you want. We love a little shit talk. Don't be afraid of it. And with that, we'll end episode 50.
Yep. Go Bills. You need this.
All right.
Show Diggs who you are.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
I want to make money.